Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have another comparison today. Taking this Universal Audio Dream 65 pedal, and I'm going to get a sound on my Princeton Reverb 68 reissue running through the Universal Audio OxBox, and I'm going to try to duplicate that sound with this pedal. And I thought that would be a cool thing to do for a couple different reasons. A, the cabinet emulations that are in here are the same, a lot of the same cabinet emulations that are on the OxBox. The other reason I thought it would be cool is because obviously this is modeled after a 65 Deluxe Reverb, and not just like a reissue. It's this golden unit that they had, they got from Carter Vintage Guitars, I think. And so that amp, I don't have one of those. I don't even have like the reissue. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to take something like the Princeton 68, which is a very different amp, and just see if the extra knobs and the extra switches you can use on this, like you have a couple different modifications that are typically done on the 65 Deluxes, and you've got all the different speakers. The reverb on this is amazing, so I kind of wanted to check out some of the reverb tails on this versus, you know, I love the reverb on the 68 Fender. So this isn't going to really be a review of this pedal. I'd like to do an actual review at some point, but I thought it would just be fun to do this little comparison and see what we get. So I'm going to be using two different cabinets on this comparison. The first cabinet is a Greenback 112, which is the top slot on this if you're on the red light section. So if the light is red on this, you get the Greenback, it says GB25. So that same cabinet with the, I think it's an M160 ribbon, that same cabinet and mic is available on the Ox. So I pulled up that same cabinet and tried to get the same sounds with this that I'm getting with the Princeton. And then the other cabinet that I used was a boutique D65, which is a 2-rock 212 cab, Celestion G12 65s, mic'd up with a 57 and a 121. Same cabinet on the Ox, pulled it up and pulled up those mics as well. I should probably mention the guitar I'm using for this is just a Parts Caster Tele, Swamp Ash body with a nitro finish, maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard, and Lollar 52. These are Alnico 2 pickups. So that's what I'm using for all the examples, with the volume all the way up, and the tone is rolled back on some of the bridge stuff, but I think it's all the way forward on the neck stuff. All right, so I'll talk a little bit more on the back end. If you like this kind of video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. And let's get into some tones. right, so I hope you found that helpful. This was really fun to make. I found advantages with both the Dream 65 and with the Princeton through the aux. Sometimes I felt like with the Dream 65, I felt like I was fighting some of the ice picky high mids that like the Princeton has like a ratty sound if you really overdrive it too much. But the high end response was, I think, higher up on the frequency spectrum. And like I feel like with the Dream 65, the resonant peaks were a little bit lower, and they were kind of sat in that a little bit in the ice picky mid range. But that being said, I really love playing through the Dream 65, and it's a subtle difference, but it's hard to know if that difference I'm hearing and the pleasant quality that I really enjoyed out of the Princeton through the aux was the fact that it's a real amp or the fact that it's going through the aux. The aux has some different things going on, like you have the speaker drive adjustment. Like if you have it at 0, the speaker sounds like a little bit more bitey and nice and fresh, and you turn it all the way up, you get more sag, and the speaker is it's going to respond a little bit more spongy like. So yeah, it was hard to tell if I just preferred that setup from some effect of the amp or the aux or both. In general, I found the Princeton to just be more fun to play and listen to. That being said, the Dream 65 is it's so much more versatile, and in a pinch, I don't think people would be able to tell the difference between these two unless you were comparing them side by side. The gain, like if you're trying to get overdriven tones, if I were trying to get some big overdriven tones without using an external pedal, like driving in front of the amp, I would go with this. They sound much more natural, and I didn't get much into like the lead and the D-Tech's, the SRV mods on this thing. I want to do a more in-depth review of this when I get some time. But yeah, this is just a much more versatile pedal. The reverb is fantastic. It's a little brighter than the Princeton's reverb, but in general, I love playing with the reverb on this. It's a lot of fun. It's really inspiring, and it kind of does the same thing that the Princeton does. One thing that I'll go over more when I do an in-depth review of this that I just want to mention is because you have this boost right here, the boost is a really interesting thing to play with. I first started just taking the boost and turning it all the way down and going from the volume and just getting all my sounds and how much gain I wanted with the volume alone. This, the output doesn't have a character to it. It's just like a, louder or softer. You're not adding distortion or anything when you're using that output. So that volume adjustment, without the boost, has a really good range of gains here. But I found that the treble sounded kind of bitey with just using the volume. So I tried in the middle here, just on the basic stock amp. If I turned the volume all the way down, kicked the boost all the way up, and then brought the volume in about here, it was a really great tone with the bass kind of about here and the treble like all the way down. It's a really interesting tone. Just the boost gives you enough treble to make it through, and you can add a little bit more treble in. It's nice, but you can get a more percussive kind of sound. It's not quite as present in your face. You can kind of lean back a little bit, and it's cool with pedals too. So if you have one of these and you've just been, messing with the boost all the way down, and clean sounds on a lot of pickups are about here, with that. You get and then you start breaking up a little bit into here. So that was kind of my sweet spot for the clean stuff, and then you push a little bit more if you want to get some overdrive. So, but yeah, again, pulling this down to about here or so, and then just kicking that boost all the way up. And then there's a lot of in between you can do. But I found that was an interesting way to get some different tones out of this than you just intuitively try to get. Anyway, maybe the next video will be an in-depth review of this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.